It's time now for the press review with Deeptika Laurent. Good to see you, Deepti.
Hi, Delano.
You're starting out with reports of a growing rift between the king over in Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman.
That's right. This report of a growing rift really coming from the Guardian newspaper only. And they say that it really began with the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi last year, that the CIA, among others, has blamed on the Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Tensions have further grown, particularly after the king's visit in February to Egypt, when advisors warned him that the prince might try and make a move against him during his absence. They're also urging the king to be more proactive against the young prince. The two reportedly also disagree on foreign policy. The king has rejected his son's more hardline approach in brutally suppressing protests, particularly in Sudan and Algeria, and the king has also advocated freer coverage of what's going on in Algeria.
Speaking of Algeria next, because you've been looking at the protests which have been ongoing in the country for over a week now against a possible fifth term of the president.
That's right. President Abdelaziz Bouteflika, we haven't really been seeing a lot of this in the English-speaking press, but it has been widely covered in the French and, of course, Algerian papers. Students and teachers are mainly those among the chorus of opposition rising against Abdelaziz Bouteflika, the ailing president of Algeria, who's seeking a fifth term in next month's elections. Liberté Algérie, that's a local paper there, they've actually published a cartoon from the cartoonist Dilem. There's a lot of humor in the reactions to these protests. You see here mocking the 6 promises made by the Algerian president to the people if they accept his fifth term or possible one. Well, after 6 promises, the Algerian people have 6 letters for the president: dégage, or get out, which is also 6 letters, incidentally.
In French. Now, a lot of questions about where exactly the president is.
That's right. Well, we know that President Bouteflika has been in a Swiss hospital since February the 24th, seeking medical treatment. It was initially expected to be a visit for a couple of days, but it's been a couple of weeks now, and Le Monde is noting that Bouteflika has actually been in a wheelchair since 2013 when he had a stroke. He only speaks to the nation through letters read by his entourage. In fact, protesters in Paris brandished signs mocking the president. Signs, for instance, that said, error 404, president not found, or President Casper, referring to the disappearing ghost.
The friendly ghost, come on.
I'm not sure if that would apply to the president as well. The weekly magazine Jeune Afrique also notes that some have taken to more novel forms of protesting, incessantly calling up the Swiss hotel where Bouteflika has been, the Swiss hospital, thank you, and leaving messages suggesting that they euthanize him, given that euthanasia is legal in Switzerland, and also calling for a collective ride-sharing trip from Paris to Geneva to be able to protest right in front of the hospital.
We'll see what happens with that story. Those protests are unlikely to go anywhere for now. Switching to the United States next, where a divisive documentary, I should say, had aired for many, confirming rumors that Michael Jackson did, in fact, sexually abuse boys at his ranch over in Neverland.
Well, this documentary, we've had many in the past, but this one, as you said, is really divisive. It's a damning documentary centering around the statements of 2 of his alleged victims who are now adults, detailing graphic sexual abuse allegedly committed by Michael Jackson against them. For this writer from the magazine Spectator, the accusations are, quote, as grotesque as they are plausible. The pattern of behavior that the 2 men describe reflect the, quote, banal and evil work of a serial predator. That's what this writer from Spectator says. And in the wake of that documentary, certain radio stations in New Zealand and Canada have even stopped playing Michael Jackson's music, raising the question of whether you can separate the genius from the man. This documentary, the Montreal Gazette explains, has pushed fans to, quote, reconsider their relationship to the king of pop and raise questions this documentary raising questions about our unshakable devotion to sullied celebrities. It's not just Michael Jackson, but Bill Cosby, Woody Allen, Harvey Weinstein. anyway, it's sure that now it's going to be impossible to be staying neutral about Michael Jackson.
I read an article about how Michael Jackson diehard fans have already gotten on the offensive on Twitter, social media, etc. So we'll see what comes out of that. Here in France, Mbappé has made the front page of Le Parisien today as PSG is set to face Manchester United.
That's right, and all hopes are on Kylian Mbappé, who's on the front of Le Parisien there. That's a return leg of the Champions League match between the two teams. With Neymar absent, PSG is relying on Mbappé to take them through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. It's a good thing, Le Parisien says, because Kylian Mbappé just keeps getting better and better. In fact, the editors remind us that Mbappé is only 20 and actually he's still growing. In fact, he grew half a centimeter last year. A reminder that he's not yet a full adult, but already an immense personality.
Still growing. That's good to know. Finally, from you, Deepti, a legendary Japanese architect has been awarded the profession's highest honor.
That's right. It's called the Pritzker Prize. Think of it as architecture's Nobel Prize, if you like. And this year, Arata Isozaki, the 88-year-old Japanese architect, will actually receive his prize here in Paris in May. His work is inspired by him growing up in postwar Japan. In fact, he says that he grew up on ground zero after the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. I quote, "My first experience of architecture was a void of architecture." Let's show you some of his work in these pictures that you'll see on the screen there. He designed the Museum of Contemporary Art in LA, that's on the left, using yin and yang theory, the Domus Museum in Spain, and the Oita Prefectural Library in Japan. There's also the Palau Sant Jordi in Barcelona, the Art Tower in Japan, and my favorite, the Qatar National Convention Center, that was actually inspired by the holy Islamic tree that you can see supporting the roof canopy.
It looks pretty cool. Thank you very much for that, Deepti, there with a look at the press review. You can also check out other editions of our press review on our website. The address is france24.com.